Hey, what's up, everybody? Metta World Peace here. Um, the playoffs is incredible. I'm here at the Pacer game. Um, I was at the Pacer game today, and the physicality that I saw, I don't know what everybody's seen. I know for once upon a time, we were questioning the toughness, and it wasn't that. It was the rule changes, by the way, trying to make the game a more global game. I know sometimes we'll say that the game or the rules or is more physical play overseas. I'm definitely going to beg to differ that because I'm from, I was born here in America, and we was the most physical. There was nobody more physical around the world than how we played the game. I played overseas also. I know what's happening overseas. I know it's a shorter game, and it's not that it's more physical. We changed the rules here, but I do want to say, the level of physicality that we saw today. This is how you could tell who could play in the '90s. Now the injuries. If someone gets hurt from too hard of a foul, that's always a scary thing. And if you're trying to train to play in a league and you see this type of action, you're gonna come into it with a different mindset. You're coming into this like, okay, somebody might be trying to take my head off when I get into the lane. I got to be ready. So now you'll see the mindset start to change, and you'll see some people who they might rather play somewhere else. Quite honestly, but I like the physicality. I think we still need to make more calls. Right, the game is definitely improving, but I feel like we still need to make more calls, like the straight arm. If somebody is on you with a straight arm, that's a foul. You cannot have a straight arm elbow cannot be locked. So there's certain things like that where I'm looking at the rules and I'm looking at the game, and we got to make those calls. If somebody foul out, they foul out. You bend your arm, right? And I think we got to make the calls when it should be made, and then that's where, I know sometimes the refs they get the short end of the stick, but that's where you gotta, you gotta take the shot, and you gotta sometimes put yourself in the line of fire. I think that's how we can still get a lot of points, but we're not forcing it. We're not spoon feeding these players, because when you spoon feed them, then what happens is, you can't even make comparisons anymore when you spoon feed them, and now you're trying to compare this one to this player. Well, no, you got to give these guys a shot to show how good they are. Give these guys a shot, to show, what they got. And today, in these playoffs, this is one of the best playoffs I've seen. I've been very opinionated on basketball from 2016 or even 15 or one of those 16, 15 up until 20, 21. I saw a shift in 2021, and I was like, okay, it was changing, right? The rules were changing. You needed the players to get a little bit of time to adjust. The bodies wasn't as in shape because you didn't have to be physical. You can go into a season, you didn't have to be physical. But I think what happened was the players, when they got into the playoffs and they saw certain fouls wasn't being called, and when they complaining to a ref, and the ref is like, yo, it is what it is, you see the guys' bodies is changing. So now you're seeing more in shape players, which is the game that we want to see. I think when we talk about this day and era is soft, I think that's over. I don't know what game y'all watching, but I'm watching a game where it is physical. It is physical, and I love it. Now, some of the grabbing, yeah, there is some grabbing. I definitely see some grabbing. Where it's like, whoop, foul. Um, and I think that's going to be an adjustment. But I think as long as we keep going down this route, and it's not going to be for everybody, so I'm sorry. This game is not for everybody. If you thinking you're going to come play in the league right now and be soft, whew, I don't see it going back anytime soon. But I do believe we still got to make these calls. We got to get more reps because there are a lot of fouls. Like, yeah, that's a foul. The traveling, we got to fix the travel. We got to call the travel. It don't matter. We got to call the carries. I mean, we make money as players. We make money to work on our game. We can't say, okay, I can't really handle, so I'm gonna carry the ball. No, you get paid to be in the summertime and work in the game, or get off the ball. We don't want to call, it's a travel. We don't want to call the travel because he didn't really mean to travel, or it's okay. No, it's a travel, man. We were setting the wrong. How are we gonna train? Now we're actually letting the head fake, and then two more steps. That is a Division II women's basketball move. That is not an NBA move. Okay, that needs to go. That needs to go. That is a travel. You understand? And so it's like I said, we're not these playoffs. I think over the last, I would say over the last, maybe not 10 years, but something like that. And these are the best playoffs that I've seen. Teams, I think the playing, which was, I wasn't in the war room when they were coming up with these rules, so I don't know why. I thought it was an excuse to, give people an opportunity to make it. But it's also great because you get a chance. You could be an AC for real, but if you don't win that playing, you wrapped up. I kind of like it. That's a good concept, overseas concept, where if you're the last place team, you got to go to Division II. Maybe they do that in the NBA. You last place team, you got to go to Division I college or something. You shouldn't just be spoon fed. And I think that's the issue that we had, as players. I'll admit I'm definitely not the greatest ever, so that means there's people better. Now, but we want to be on an even playing field. We want to be. We didn't get 3 steps. You mean to tell me if I can back somebody down, head fake, and then take 2 more steps at 260? I've never used that move. So we're saying it needs to be on an even playing field. So then we can make some real. We can measure the talent. We can measure the top hundreds coming up in 24 more years, if I'm not mistaken. We need to make the right measurements. You just can't give it to them. Can't give somebody top 100 when that comes up again. So from that perspective, I just want to say these playoffs are incredible. It's definitely exciting. And I think the All-Star game was competitive. I think that carried over too. When you look at how competitive this year's All-Star game was compared to last year when they stunk it up in our city in Indiana, which was like, it was disrespectful. That's why that's for sure. You come to Indiana, you gotta bring it. You can't come to Indiana and not bring it. It's all right. We'll take that one on the chin. We had the All-Star game. It was cold. We understand it was cold, but you could come play. You're only gonna be out there 2 hours. For the fans, for the city, but it's okay. We understand. We understand. But this year in San Fran, it was better. Definitely gonna give it up, and I think that's carrying over to the playoffs, and it's carrying over. To the players, it's carrying over. You can actually see the level of, aggressiveness, competitiveness, and now you can measure, if this one could have matched up against Rip Hamilton, because Rip had to go through what you've seen today, or what you've seen in these playoffs, this Milwaukee series and Pacers series. That's what Rip Hamilton had to go through. It wasn't I can't touch, and now you can make a better measurement. Like I said, we do need to call more fouls, definitely. And you foul out because some of the stuff is just it's a blatant foul. But at the same time, we don't want to go back to where it's soft. And I think everybody got to step their level up. And I think the league will get better. The league you can see now the league has a lot more upside, than what we thought. But the playoffs is incredible. I'm having a great time. I'm going to holler back. Metta World Peace. This is the one-off podcast that we got. We got our real podcast coming soon. I've been quiet for a little bit, but I'm going to see y'all soon. Peace out.